Good morning and welcome everyone to the fourth episode in the Refocus virtual webinar series. My name is Ashley Hood-Morley. I'm the Senior Director of Sustainability and Materials at the Plastics Industry Association, where I lead a number of efforts, including our Recycling Committee and the Events and Education Subcommittee, which brings you this conference series every year. In place of our annual conference, of course, for those of you who have been with us for the past few episodes, we have converted our education series to a monthly webinar series. Those webinars in the past can be found on refocussummit.org, so check that out. And after this recording today, this one will be out there for you guys to go back and review. So today I'm going to be serving as your program moderator. Before we dive in, I'll just cover a few brief housekeeping items, and then we will get started on our great content today. So next slide. So first and foremost, as we do with every single one of these sessions, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of this webinar series. So we have Midland Compounding and Consulting, Plastics Machinery Magazine, Plastics Recycling Magazine, and Star Plastics. Please reach out, thank these companies for bringing this content to you today. Thank them for the support of this Refocus series. Because of folks like Star Plastics, the Plastics Machinery Magazine and Plastics Recycling Magazine, and Midland, we've been able to bring this series to you guys with no fees attached to registration. So we're really thankful that they were able to stay on as sponsors as we've all shifted to this virtual world this year. So next slide. Another thank you to our media partners, Mold Making Technology, Plastics Machinery Magazine, Plastics News, Plastics Technology, and Recycling Today have all been great partners of ours for many years. Next slide. And as we've reminded you, we are very, very much looking forward to getting back to in-person meetings. While it's been great to connect with you guys over this virtual platform, we're really looking forward to an in-person event, and we do just want to make sure you jot the dates down for both 2021 and 2022. Next year, of course, will be in conjunction with the MPE 2021, the Plastics Show in Orlando, Florida. And we're pleased to announce that we have been able to secure dates for 2022 as well. We'll be going to Cincinnati, which is where we had hoped to go this year, but we were able to save that date for 2022, as well as the excellent tours of Influx in the local material recovery facility that we have planned for this year. Next slide. And last but not least, just a few reminders before we dive in. So although all attendee lines are currently muted, we will offer a Q&A session after all of the speakers present their slides today. So keep in mind during this time, and when you are posing questions for the speakers, we will abide by antitrust rules, and we will refrain from addressing any questions or discussion related to pricing, production, marketing strategies, anything that could be construed as market manipulations. We're not going to address today, and I'm happy to connect you directly to speakers post-webinar if you would like to have any individual discussions such in this topic area. To submit your questions during the webinar today, there is a Q&A function as part of the Zoom webinar series platform at the bottom of your screen. So if you'd like to, at any point throughout the discussion today, please feel free to navigate to that area and send your question in, and we'll collect all of those during the entire session and answer those when we turn on the camera and have all of the speakers join us for a live Q&A panel. Today, just to make everyone aware, we are going to be recording this session. We won't be conducting any official business of the association today. This is a public education session where both members, non-members, and press may be present. So again, this is being recorded, and to access the recording, we will be sending you all a follow-up email as soon as this wraps up with a very brief survey, just a handful of questions, and at the end of that survey, as you have with past webinars, we'll get this recording linked to you there. So with that, we'll go on to the next slide and introduce today's session. So today, we've covered a lot of different topics during this webinar series, and today we're going to focus on telling our sustainability stories. Today more than ever, constructing a persuasive narrative is really what we all are having to do to reach our audience. We have traditionally relied on science and fact-based communications in the past. And it's become, increasingly clear over time that those facts and that information that we rely on really has to be couched in a compelling narrative to get the point across to the audiences that we're all trying to reach. So that is what we've put together for you today. We have some excellent content. I think what you're going to see today is a top-notch case study in exactly how you can take science and turn that into the most gorgeous presentation I've seen in a while. I think that you will be very pleased to see kind of all of the different things that we've pulled together to show you how these companies are telling their story. So what we have for you today is kind of a combination between live speakers, we have some videos, and then we'll end back with a live Q&A session. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speakers and we will get started on today's session. So we have 4 speakers for you today, and I'm going to start with Pam Cadile, who's currently in market development at ExxonMobil Chemical Company. She has a degree in chemistry from the University of Akron and started her career in corporate technology with GenCorp, working on applications all the way from development to commercialization, supporting 5 of their really diverse business units. In 2004, Pam started working at ExxonMobil as a senior improvement engineer within their elastomer business. She spent the last 16 years with ExxonMobil in a variety of technical and commercial roles and has worked in all of the polymers businesses within ExxonMobil, from product development, sales, marketing, and strategic planning. In 2018, she was moved to explore the growth in the recycling world for Exxon, focused on Canada and U.S. markets. She leads a sales and marketing team that helps customers in Canada and the U.S. find solutions to their need when they need recycling streams. So the second speaker will be Ricardo Vereta. And Ricardo is ExxonMobil's Latin America market development lead. And so there he's responsible for coordinating a group focused on polymer modification, recycling, and master batch, being responsible for projects in Latin America and Mexico. Ricardo has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Osvaldo Cruz in Sao Paulo, Brazil. He started his career in 2008 working in the master batch industry, having contact with several applications related to plastics industry from development to commercialization. In 2016, he moved to Europe to get an MBA degree in The Hague University in the Netherlands, and in 2018, Ricardo started working at ExxonMobil Belgium as a market developer within the elastomer business. He's now located in Brazil. Our third speaker, Julio Compagnon, has been in the plastics business his entire life as part of a family tradition of almost 50 years in the industry. Julio has worked in operations and on the commercial side for the past 12 years and currently is serving as the CEO of Comberplast. He has always been passionate about the power that plastics have in improving the quality of life of people, but he is also fully aware of what is happening in the world with plastic waste, which makes him a strong advocate of others being responsible, but he also knows that this must result in a profitable business. He's been a member of the board of the Chilean Plastics Association for the past 15 years and served as their president from 2012 to 2015. He's also a member of several other councils, including the Chilean Manufacturing Council, the Chilean Plastics Pact Council, and a member of Chile's Circular Economy Roadmap Council. He's the co-founder of Atando Cabos, and his companies have been awarded a number of local, regional, and international awards for innovation, sustainability, best practices, and entrepreneurship. Julio has a bachelor's degree in business. Our fourth and final speaker, Francisco Cruz, is the co-founder and CEO of Atando Cabos, a company focused on ending the contamination of discarded fishing and marine farming gear from the coasts and fjords of Patagonia. He's implemented a circular economy model that has created social, economic, and environmental impact, and is always looking to blend impact, purpose, and value creation in his activities. Prior to Atando Cabos, he was the CEO in a plastics houseware retail company. Under his direction, the first successful and profitable circular economy initiative in the retail industry was accomplished. His project was recognized with several environmental and sustainable awards, leading the company to be acquired by an investment firm. Francisco became the innovation director at Comberplast and holds 3 patents. Today, he's fully devoted to share the vision of Atando Cabos and expanding operations to North America and Europe. He's actively building partnerships with leading companies across the whole plastics value chain. Francisco is an industrial and hydraulic engineer with a master's degree in design as well as an MBA. He serves on the board of the Burn Child's Foundation, a nonprofit foundation focused on treating burned children across Latin America. So with that, I hope that you will agree with me that we have an esteemed panel connecting the entire value chain across the plastic supply chain here, who have worked together in a collaborative manner to not only use science to create these new products, but they have done it in a way that they have told their story in a way that is truly exceptional, and I hope that you all will agree with that. So join me in welcoming Pam, Ricardo, Julio, and Francisco. And with that, we will turn this program over to Pam. I will go behind the scenes and we will hear from our speakers for the next few minutes. So Pam, with that, I'll invite you to unmute your mic and take it away.
Thanks, Ashley. ExxonMobil and Atando Cabos have been working together for the past couple years. It's been a collaborative effort, and we are happy to be part of this story. In Chile, Vistamax performance polymers are playing an important role with the mixed recycle streams, meaning the rope is made up of 2 plastics. One is polypropylene and one is polyethylene. These 2 commodity resins are incompatible. Therefore, to make a product, you would need a compatibilizer, which is Vistamax. The rope that is shown is considered post-consumer recycle, PCR. This rope has been utilized in the fishing industry and it could be disposed, but Atando Cabos has given it a second life by converting it into a raw material resin again. These resins can be purchased to make quality products, and one can say they are actually using a PCR resin that was in the ocean versus just saying it was ocean bound. Recycle streams, whether they are post-industrial recycle, PIR, or post-consumer recycle, PCR, you may find for their next intended use, they may need a prime resin to be mixed into the material, and we have a lot to offer here at ExxonMobil. We have brands like Exceed XP, Enable, ExxonMobil high-density polyethylenes, ExxonMobil polypropylenes, and Achieve advanced polypropylenes. One also may find that the polymers seem to be mixed, like the Atando Cabos feed stream, and a compatibilizer or modifier is needed. And one could use Vistamax performance polymers, exact plastomers, or even Xlor. Xlor is actually a resin that has been grafted with maleic anhydride, so it's polar. If we can go to the next slide. Today, ExxonMobil is truly a global company. We have a presence on 6 continents and more than 70,000 employees. Out of those 70,000 employees, about 20,000 are scientists and engineers. The quality, size, and diversity of our integrated portfolio are evident across all 3 of our global business lines. Upstream, where we have high quality opportunities across all resource types and geographies, an industry-leading resource base, a portfolio of world-class projects, and a diverse set of producing assets. The upstream business encompasses the exploration and production of oil and natural gas. Extracting a resource from the depths of the earth requires cutting-edge technology, and the energy industry is one of the most technologically advanced industries in the world. Downstream, where we're the world's largest integrated refiner and manufacturer of lubricant base stocks, we're also a leading marketer of petroleum products and finished lubricants. Gasoline and diesel are not the only products we refine. Nearly every molecule of crude oil processed in refineries is converted into a useful commercial product. And then there's the chemical business, which I'm from, where we're one of the largest chemical companies in the world. ExxonMobil's chemical business leads the petrochemical industry. Our facilities also convert crude oil into petrochemical feedstocks that are used in medical equipment, electronics, clothing, vitamin capsules, tires, and many other products. Today, chemicals touch more than 95% of the manufactured goods and virtually every sector of the modern economy. We are a leading supplier of olefins, polyolefins, and aromatics in the world. You may not know about these and other chemicals, but you do know about the products that come from them, such as cars, packaging, and construction materials. Being an integrated oil and gas company means that we can maximize the value of every molecule from the wellhead to the market. If you could turn to the next slide, please. Our broad portfolio of chemicals are used in a variety of industries. ExxonMobil Chemical provides the building blocks for a wide range of products, from packaging materials and plastic bottles to automotive bumpers, synthetic rubber, solvents, and countless consumer goods. Here are just a few examples of product applications and how they help our customers tell their sustainability stories. In automotive, we produce weight-reducing materials for automobiles, resulting in an estimated 6 to 8% fuel economy improvement for every 10% reduction in vehicle weight, according to the US EPA. Achieve Advanced Polypropylene provides extraordinary tough automotive parts that are lightweight and safe, while advanced air barrier technologies from our butyl rubber bring tire manufacturers the potential to introduce tires that weigh less and retain air better to improve fuel economy, handling, and durability. Compounding, the Vistamax performance polymers enable the development of innovative polyolefin blends and multi-layer structures for new products and applications. It can open up new possibilities that help reduce total costs and achieve processing efficiencies. And then in the packaging industry, we launched our new Exceed XP platform when extreme performance matters, which brings step-out performance and an even higher potential for sustainability benefits. Exceed XP allows the use of polyethylene laminates to provide fully recyclable pouches. When pouches are made from some mixed material, they are much more difficult to recycle. With a single product design, these pouches can be recycled wherever polyethylene films are collected. In liquid packaging, where the strength of Exceed XP reduces the failure rates, we can reduce leakage rates significantly. For example, when transporting precious food products such as water, milk, or wine, we have less waste. If you would please turn to the next slide. We at ExxonMobil were committed to finding scalable solutions to help address the plastic waste challenge and are exploring a wide range of approaches. Because overcoming this challenge calls for strong leadership and sustained action from all aspects of society. We're actively collaborating with industry, NGOs, and governments to explore a wide range of solutions. We are a founding member of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, which is a nonprofit comprised of nearly 50 member companies from across the value chain and globe. Over $1 billion have been committed by the members for this new initiative, with the goal of investing an aggregate of $1.5 billion over the first 5 years to help end plastic waste in the environment. The Recycling Partnership, we have contributed $1.5 million to this rapidly growing national nonprofit that leverages corporate investment to transform recycling for good in hundreds of communities across the US. We are part of the World Plastics Council, which works with major associations like the American Chemical Council, the Plastics Europe, and World Plastics Council to develop sustainability action plans in areas such as reporting metrics and circular economy concept to improve materials management. Materials recovery for the future, we've contributed $200,000 to this project-based organization focused on identifying and commercializing technology that improves the ability to sort and recycle multi-layered flexible films. The Sustainability Consortium, we joined more than 100 other members to support efforts to translate the best sustainability science into business tools that are used all over the world to create more sustainable consumer products. The Packaging Coalition is a nonprofit dedicated to sustainable use of all materials and science. We bring together key stakeholders to encourage innovation and best practices to promote the creation of a more sustainable materials economy. The mission of the Sustainable Packaging Coalition is to use thorough research and science-based approaches to help advance and communicate a positive, robust environmental vision for packaging and to support innovation, functional packaging materials and systems that promote economic and environmental health. The Green Chemistry and Commerce Council, which develops and promotes tools, policies, and business practices to drive green chemistry throughout supply chains. It fosters collaboration among businesses, government, non-governmental organizations, and academic researchers. SafeFlex is the collaborative initiative of the European Consortium of companies representing the entire value chain of flexible packaging, which we just joined. Now, we would like to show you a quick video of the collaboration between ExxonMobil and Atando Cabos. You can also view the videos on the World Wide Web at exxonmobilchemical.com when you search for Rethink Recycle.
Thanks so much, Pam, and an excellent video to kind of introduce everything and kind of tie up the story that we're going to tell today. So next up, you're going to hear from Ricardo. So thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Vistamax performance polymers are proprietary metallocene technology. They are semi-crystalline polymers of propylene and ethylene with tunable amorphous content. They have a very uniform molecular composition, which results in the very uniform behavior of the material. Vistamax performance polymers are produced in Singapore and in the United States, with capacity above 300,000 tons a year. Vistamax grades can be classified by flexibility and MFR, melting flow rate. The level of amorphous content can be adjusted to tailor the flexibility and other mechanical properties. While the MFR range can help to cover applications and processes going from extrusion, very low MI, to molding, high MI, and also hot melt adhesives that requires a very low viscosity. Because of their specific molecular structure, the key product attributes of Vistamax polymers are toughness, flexibility, and elasticity, make it a very versatile material present in applications including films, construction, compounding, hygiene, adhesives, and recycle. Recycle is going to be our focus today. Vistamax polymers have a great compatibility with polyethylene and polypropylene, which makes them very good compatibilizers for mechanical recycling, as we will see further on this presentation. Another important attribute of Vistamax polymers in recycling is the ability to improve the flow, which can be very useful for some processes. In our first example here, we show how our very low viscosity grade, Vistamax 8880, can improve the flow of recycled streams. The graph presents the spiral flow test with several recycled formulations coming from post-consumer high-density polyethylene bottles, and also compare it with flow behavior of virgin high-density polyethylene for injection molding. In the spiral flow test, we have the injection with standardized parameters and a spiral-shaped mold. Therefore, it is possible to measure how far the material travels within the mold cavity, characterizing the flow of the material in the process. What is interesting to see here is how Vistamax 8880 applied on this base recycled HDPE material can improve the flow. So the more Vistamax you put there in the mix, the higher is the flow. And you can see it's a good opportunity to use, for instance, HDPE recycled materials to be applied in injection molding applications. It is important to reinforce here that the Vistamax application in this case can improve the flow up to 150%. Okay. In this next example, Vistamax polymers were able to upgrade polyethylene and polypropylene recycled stream to be used in a garbage bag. A blend of high-quality polyethylene recycled and 30% recycled PP as a contamination was turned into a 50 micrometer film. Some of the converters produce both polyethylene and polypropylene-based films, or multi-layer structures containing both polyethylene and propylene layers. These films are then recycled together without segregation. However, the two plastics will not mix together, which limits for dealing with mixed waste and decrease the performance and therefore value of the recycled products. The phase separation inhibits interfacial adhesion and decrease the mechanical properties of the melt blends. By adding 5% Vistamax 6102 polymer, the recycled output becomes high-quality recycle. The Vistamax polymers act as a compatibilizer, improve the blend morphology, and reducing the surface energy. This is shown on the morphology pictures, while on the morphology pictures in my left-hand side, while interfacial incompatibility is characterized by the spherical shape of the PP phase in the P matrix in the top picture, and the addition of Vistamax 6102 shows that the PP phase follows the MD orientation of the film, acting as a compatibilizer. This increases the mechanical performance of the mixed polyolefin when PP and PE are recycled together. What is very interesting to see here is that the impact strength of the film improves twice during the addition of only 5% of Vistamax, and you can improve almost 50% the tear resistance of the film, just improving the compatibilization of the two different polymers. This next slide shows that Vistamax performance polymers can also be used to improve the performance of polypropylene recycle streams contaminated with polyethylene. Because of Vistamax performance polymers are propylene-based materials with tailored ethylene content, they blend well with PP-based recycle streams, even with PE contamination. Therefore, acting as a compatibilizer, improving mechanical property. In this example, you can see the recycle stream here and how the addition of how just adding Vistamax 6202 5%, it's possible to improve the impact strength by 50%, which makes the stream compatible with version ICPs. Okay. It's also important to reinforce here that Vistamax also helps to decrease the flexibility, to increase the flexibility of the material. I would like to share one final case study with you. In Chile, Vistamax performance polymers are playing an important role in an inspiring project that helps to clean up the oceans of Patagonia and provide useful sellable products to many different countries and regions. The Atando Cabos project is removing thousands of mixed PE and PP fishing ropes from the oceans and coastlines of Patagonia for recycling. Local fishermen collect the ropes, which are compatibilized by Vistamax and recycled into fruit, crates, and pellets. As you can see here, this project is linking the whole value chain. So you have the producer of polyolefin, you have Atando Cabos that collect the ropes and the recycle streams, you have the machine producer to do the recycle, and the final consumer that will receive the crates that are produced with this recycle stream. For this reason, it's a very important and very significant project for us. Using Vistamax polymers as compatibilizers allows Atando Cabos to improve the quality of their output. They can achieve 40% better flow properties and 45% better impact strength, unlocking new possibilities for their products. Now, I hand over to Julio and Francisco that will explain more about this great project initiative called Atando Cabos.
Excellent, and thank you to Ricardo for providing additional background, a lot of technical information there to kind of set up and show you guys the collaboration that happens among the supply chain. So next up, again, you will hear from Julio.
Hello, everyone. I would like to begin by thanking the Association of Plastic Industries for inviting us to this Refocus webinar and giving us the opportunity and the honor of sharing our story, our journey, and vision with all of you. The analogy of the iceberg is often used to show how problems are usually much deeper and much bigger than what they seem to be. I believe that we all have our own icebergs in life, and at Comberplast is how our iceberg looks, as a plastic bag floating in the sea. My name is Julio Compagnon Bernabé, from Compagnon Bernabé Plastics, Comberplast. We're a family-owned company founded by my parents almost 50 years ago. I am a part of the second generation in the business, and of course, the challenges I had to face are quite different than the ones my parents had to face. And up to this pandemic, the biggest one I had to face was the increasing questioning and attack on plastics. Year after year, and not only professionally, but also socially, plastics were getting attacked. And every time someone attacked plastics, I did what probably most of you would have done. I went into defense mode. I did this because I felt that these attacks were not only aimed to the material or to the industry, but also to my job, and why not say so, to my family. So it also became personal. Then every time someone came that only 2% of all plastic packaging got recycled worldwide, or that of the 1 million tons of plastics transformed yearly in Chile, only 8% was recycled, I replied defensively with the usual arguments. But hey, look how plastics have improved the quality of your lives in so many ways, like in transport or medicine or food preservation. I'm sure you all know those lines. But then they would reply to me with pictures like these. These animals are trapped in plastic. My plastic. Our plastics. And you know what, guys? The first time that I saw this with my own eyes, I knew that this was undefendable. So we had to open ourselves to the possibility this was a movie. Maybe we were not the good guys we thought we were. Maybe we were the bad guys. Or maybe someone else was the bad guy. Maybe our supplier, maybe our customer, maybe the end user. Who was the villain? There had to be one, right? Well, it didn't take us that long to realize it was none of the mentioned, but rather the whole model. And let me explain with this article that appeared in Life magazine in 1955, titled The Throwaway Living. Maybe some of you have seen it before. I've seen it many times, and it still shocks me. The article explains all of the good things that this wonderful new material, plastics, would bring to all of us. Almost 40 years after its publication, I read it with completely different eyes. The real problem was this take, make, dispose concept, of which plastics had become the symbol, the so-called linear economy. These were my troubles in the mid-90s. And so, we began a journey which took our company from linear to recycling and then to what is now called circular economy, although it wasn't even called like that on those days. And then to what we're doing today, which is circular economy plus Industry 4.0. But if we really want to move away from the place we were back then, we had to make some commitments, some compromises. First, we wanted to be part of the solution and not part of the pollution. Second, we would give up on the production of single-use products, which at the time that meant almost half of our market. We would promote recycling and circular economy. And we would do this through actions, not just through opinions. We are a factory. We do tangible things. We wouldn't go around there writing papers, giving speeches, or presenting in webinars. But what do you know? Right? And all of this because we truly believe that plastics are just too valuable to be thrown away. Plastics should always be considered as a resource and never as waste. But still, we felt we were missing something, some kind of guideline or focus point. I think that we are all moved by two things: the things we love and the things we hate. As you might have guessed, I love plastics. I think it's a wonderful material. It's cheap, it's light, it's durable, it's recyclable. I also love nature. I love fly fishing on the great outdoors of the Chilean Patagonia. But I hate when these two things that I love get together. This is how we defined the purpose of Comberplast Group companies. All of them, in everything we do, in everything they do, have one single purpose, which is to clean the world of plastics using plastics as a tool. This was the point when everything began to make sense. We could focus our energy, our knowledge, and our expertise. And some weird and good things began to happen. Just to mention one, we got rid of all of our competition. Yeah, I know. You're all thinking, how did this guy got rid of his competition with a nice line? Show you what I mean. If you decide to clean your beach and suddenly someone else begins doing the same, and someone else, you wouldn't see them as competitors, would you? You would see them as partners, as collaborators. Thus, the door for collaboration was opened for us, and this is a key element in circular economy. To help to solve the problems in a profitable way, which is what all companies should do in the first place. Okay, enough of the nice stories. Now let me share with you some of the actual work we do. And we're going to do it through one of our dearest projects. I will leave you now with Francisco, who will explain it to all of you. Francisco, this virtual floor is all yours. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Francisco Cruz, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Atando Cabos. If I tell you we're going to talk about Patagonia, what comes to your mind? You would probably think of pristine landscapes, beautiful wildlife, and unexplored lands. That is completely true. Chilean Patagonia is a very long, unconnected, and uninhabited territory. It has 1,500 kilometers of extension. This is more than the distance you have from Texas to Canada. It represents 1/3 of our territory, but it only has 6% of the population. Full of archipelagos, fjords, and canals, it is bathed by cold waters that come directly from Antarctica. This has made this region ideal for the development of the marine farming and fishing industries. The marine farming industry in the Patagonian region has grown exponentially in the last 30 years. Salmon farming, in particular, has transformed Chile into the world's second largest producer of fresh salmon. It has certainly had a positive impact, bringing great benefits and development to Chile's austral zone and its communities. But along with the industry's boom, it has also increased its environmental liabilities. Large amounts of nets, buoys, ropes, and other discarded gear can be found along the area, even in places where man has hardly reached, even in the open sea. Logistical challenges, the historical perception that it is garbage, and the lack of real solutions and services in industrial scale are the main reason why these resources end up being thrown into the sea or, in best case, deposited in landfills. Today you can find more than 700 production sites along the Patagonian territory. And although the salmon industry has developed strict policies establishing clear regulations for the management and discarding of plastics, over 10,000 tons of plastic gear reach their end of life each year. In Atando Cabos, we seek to end the massive contamination of discarded plastics in the environment. Using the coasts and fjords of Patagonia as an initial challenge, we implemented our circular economy initiative, transforming plastic waste into high-value resources, producing economic, social, and environmental impact for the entire chain. We want to impose a new model to replace the prevailing linear economic model, which frames the relationship between local communities, businesses, consumers, authorities, NGOs, and many more stakeholders, and which has led to excessive and irresponsible waste production. We give a second life to discarded plastic waste, recycling it and manufacturing long-life positive products, as chairs, vertical gardens, water harvesting systems, among many others. We go beyond the collection of discarded plastic. We're building real and lasting solutions to reduce waste production and landfill of plastics, and by consequence, improving ecosystems, building stronger relationships, and reinforcing better businesses along the chain. But this is a global problem. According to United Nations, annually 13 million tons of plastics are thrown into the sea, from which 20% corresponds to waste from exploitation and commercialization of marine resources. The legacy of mass disposal of plastic waste is present in all industries. The current use of recycled plastic in high-end products is very low. We have a vicious circle in which big manufacturers, and therefore big waste generators, do not consider recycled plastic in their products. The same industries that generate the problem also have the opportunity of contributing to the solution. Unfortunately, even the few who want to make the transition find very limited alternatives for solutions in the market. Serious and high-quality recycling has shown to be a very informal and complex industry. Our estimates are that an accumulated of 200 million kilograms of plastic ropes, nets, pipes, and buoys are discarded throughout the Patagonia. This is a really big number. If I had that many seconds to talk to you, we would be here for over 6 years. Due to the size of the problem, we realized we needed a lot more than a good initiative. We needed to mobilize many different players. We needed a cultural change. So we asked ourselves the big question: what can we do to change the throwaway culture of an entire industry? How could we convince them to adhere to our model? And I think this is the best moment to explain you the meaning of Atando Cabos, whose literal translation to English is tying knots. Atando Cabos is a common expression in Chile that is used to reflect the ability to solve problems using or tying existing solutions. This expression reflects the collaborative spirit of our endeavor and the clear purpose of our business. Of course, we faced many challenges, and we still continue. Challenges in every direction. Just to mention the most relevant for this conversation, I grouped them in technical, social, and business issues. We realized we required a wide range of skill sets we didn't possess, but we also noticed we could see beyond the problem. We could see the big picture. We had to interact with many different institutions. All of them had an influence directly or indirectly in the outcome of our project. From government to universities, from petrochemicals to NGOs, from fishermen unions to the Navy. All of them had a different approach to the problem. And between many of them, there wasn't even communication. So we positioned ourselves as a common ground to all, enabling communication, understanding their position, and what would move them to get involved in our model. Regarding the technical issues, we really had many, and I mean many. Among shredding, washing, logistics, permits, collecting, separating, pelletizing, transportation, gathering, certifications. It was really complicated. We went on a search for knowledge, sharing the purpose of our project. Here, I would like to show my appreciation to all the ExxonMobil staff who had believed in us since the beginning and helped us with sincere involvement and passion. For every technical aspect we had to solve, we were able to talk and involve avant-garde companies in their fields. But we came to a point where we said, okay, this is a fantastic project, full of purpose and very fulfilling. But we need to turn it into a business so that it can prevail over time. In our experience, the plastics recycling business does not have the incentives for anyone to innovate. The fact that the outcome is a commodity means you get the same reward if you do it good, great, or superb. Also, the commodities price cycle makes everybody focus on the short-term profits while they last. Usually, there are many actors involved and it's a complex chain. There are not enough profits for everybody, and this tends to make the whole interactions quite informal and unreliable, meaning more costs for the whole chain. What incentive did we have to go and collect a rope from the middle of nowhere, highly contaminated, mixed, and very hard to shred and process? From the economical point of view, none. But we were able to realize that it was not the same to recycle common post-industrial waste than the effort, purpose, and engagement that represented the rope. There was an additional value in solving the Patagonia pollution. Intangible value. There is value in everything that happens to make the products, in all the effort, coordination, and purpose involved. There is value in what the outcome represents. And here is an analogy I like to use. How much is worth to you a used golf ball? We'll probably differ a bit, but we will agree that it's lower than the value of a new one. And if I told you it is this ball?
This is the ball of Tiger Woods. Lenny, what about this?
Vern, this is extremely difficult. This is one of the toughest pitches on the entire place here.
Have you seen anything like that?
It never gets old. The more I see that shot, the more I like it. I'm pretty sure everybody would give up many new balls to have that used one. So having this in mind, we developed our business model supported in two key aspects. One, the material had to work without altering the standard manufacturing process and without increasing costs. And second, we needed to collect as much information as possible and make it available for all. Total transparency. In collaboration with ExxonMobil, we've been developing different mixes of plastics, trying to emulate the overall characteristics of the virgin resins used by our partners and clients. We've got to develop successful mixes that range from 10% recycled up to 97%. At the moment, we're testing for custom injection and extrusion processes with very positive results. The second key development has been our software platform, where we're putting together our business model. The idea behind our platform is to enable companies to improve their own businesses, especially those at the ends of the chain, the ones that generate the discarded plastics and the ones who consume it. By registering the journey of the plastic waste and how they are involved in solving real problems, we're allowing these companies to access new markets, win new business, and get more profit, and in this way, more resources to the entire whole chain. Thankfully, all this has been increasingly supported by the commitments of different industries. Petrochemicals had formed alliances to end plastic waste. Big brand owners have committed to ambitious goals regarding the use of recycled plastics. And, progressively, countries are implementing legislation to reduce waste. All these efforts together are helping to break the inertia and deploy the cultural changes needed. Also, the financial industry is starting to send a clear message. As a company, you need to be responsible for the effects of your activities and address these problems. Not complying increases your risk and makes you more expensive. This is helping to monetize the value of the intangible assets companies are building with the initiatives as Atando Cabos. Perhaps the best way to explain the purpose of Atando Cabos is sharing one of our success cases. Heineken's bottler in Chile held a bid for the purchase of plastic pallets, which aroused a global interest. Raric Pacific, a very known United States company that manufactured pallets, participated together with Atando Cabos and prepared two offers, a standard one and another one with plastic from recovered ropes from Patagonia. We invited the bottler to clean Patagonia. Imagine, they looked at us and said, "What? Do you want us to clean beaches?" "No," we said, "use our pallets." Of course, we got to develop this project together. Everybody won. Atando Cabos removed almost 1,000 tons of rope from Patagonia only for this project. The bottler met its sustainability goals, lowering its risk rate prior to their investment round. It was very positive for them. Raric Pacific saw that the origin and purpose of the material earned them a business. The Salmon Farming company, by being extra responsible with their discarded gear, managed to access new markets. And the community, today they have developed a new activity, new knowledge, generating additional income and cleaning the environment. Everybody won. We want that the companies that use our material can access more and better business. And hopefully, while this may be an advantage in the medium term, in the long term it will be the standard, thus reducing the discarded sources of waste. We are demonstrating that the story behind recycling can add value, and by doing so, we mobilize entire industries to go after this waste. Once this happens, the waste is started to be seen and treated as a resource and is no longer discarded into the environment. The increasing demand for these resources means that the same industries end cleaning up the pollution and avoiding future discards. I am a proud father of two wonderful girls, and I feel responsible for the world I am leaving them, and therefore responsible for building solutions with real impact. Our results have been overwhelming and are supported by the fact that ropes are no longer considered waste. Thank you very much.
Excellent, and thank you so much, Francisco. And finally, before we turn to our Q&A, we have one final video. This is the second in the series of the ExxonMobil videos, and both of these are what Pam referenced at the beginning of the webinar. They're both available on ExxonMobil's website, and we'll be happy to share the links with you guys at the conclusion of this session. So with that, Excellent. So at this time, that concludes the presentation portion of our session. So at this time, I'm going to restart my video and I'm going to ask all of the speakers to come back online, and we'll have our Q&A session. So I've got Pam, Ricardo, Julio, and Francisco all here with us today, and here to do some live Q&A. So let me just make sure. I'm gonna send, okay, we've got, so Ricardo and then Julio will get your video on and get you unmuted, and we'll dive in. So, wow, that is a really great story, and thank you guys so much for taking the time to kind of put the entire supply chain together. And I like how you walk through and start with, you know, the technical background, you tie in, you know, how you're involved with the community and what you're doing to serve, you know, your local region, and showcase, you know, these technical solutions, and getting the plastic and keeping it back in the supply chain. So, you know, I think we have a few questions queued up, and I'll go to those in a minute, but I think I'd first maybe put Pam on the spot and just say, you know, you've got this excellent story that you've kind of wrapped up in a couple of the ExxonMobil videos that we saw at the very beginning and the very end. What's been the response to those videos?
So it's been a great response. We've had many new customers come to us and processors and ask us, how do they work the supply chain? You know, they're finding recyclers, but there aren't that many. And we're actually uncovering that some people are starting to go straight to the recycling facilities that we all have in our municipalities and see if they can do something different. So I think it's given great ideas, you know, for entrepreneurship and new opportunities for all of us to grow in this area.
Yeah, and I'm happy for any of the three of you to chime in on, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Pam, that's, I'm certain from an ExxonMobil response, but, you know, Francisco or Julio, do either of you want to chime in on kind of the response and reactions that you've been getting? Anything you want to add? I know you talked a little bit about it in each of your presentations as well.
Yes. Well, the response has been great. We showcased this our case at K-Show in Düsseldorf last October, and the response of the whole industry was amazing. Yeah, it was a very gratifying, because I think that one of the best things that Atando Cabos does is that it helps connecting people that were unconnected. That's what Francisco was referring as. The name of the company, Atando Cabos, means tying knots, or tying unconnected people in this case. So we were able to, and we still are being able to connect a lot of unconnected people, industries. And one of the things that I've always been curious is that why does the value chain only talks one stage forward or one stage backwards? Why don't we ever sit down on the same table, the whole value chain? And I believe that's the only way of solving this kind of complex problems. So we're very happy with the results and the engagements that the project has given to us.
Absolutely. No, it's incredible. And a couple of the slides in particular where you show just how many companies that it took, you know, around that circle to make this happen. It would have never been possible with one of you just speaking back and forth to the other. So yeah. I think you make an excellent point. Let's go to the actual questions and not just my curiosities. So let's see. So I have a couple of questions about the actual ropes in the ocean, and you may or may not know some of the answers to these. So if not, we can always follow up with folks offline. So one of the questions was specific to the map that, and I'm sorry, I can't remember which presentation it was in, but somebody has a question about the data source for the map of the one where you showed where plastic waste was generated. I don't know if you guys recall what the data source was for that map, or if it's something we could follow up with offline.
The map, as it was shown in the slide, I took it from the Ocean Cleanup Project.
Okay,
so
excellent.
The actual data source, I'm not pretty sure, but that's what the Ocean Cleanup Project is showcasing about where the waste generation is. Anyway, the map was intended to show that the problem is global. I mean, we have been seeing this in almost any country that has a coastline has this problem with different, of course, aspects, but the same problem. We now are in advanced conversation with partners in Canada and in the Netherlands, and well, it's actually the same problem.
Well, and that kind of relates to another question that came in from the audience about, just how many of these ropes can be found in the water and are just, waiting, for an end-of-life solution. And I don't know if that's something that has been quantified by the ocean cleanup as far as how many are out there in existence.
Yeah, I saw the question. Today you have a lot of discarded gear in the ocean, ghost nets, something on the beaches, and we get some of that, although it's really hard to get. Our aim is to prevent that from getting to the ocean. So we've been working really strong with this, in this case, with the salmon industry in the Patagonia, to prevent discarding, and these guys in the last years have really elevated their standards. So now they're really careful about all the management of their plastics, and they are gathering them, and together we're looking for a solution. So as soon as they end up life, we can process them and not gather them in very big land places in the middle of the Patagonia. That was the usual solution. So we're aiming to get big quantities of this. Of course, they come more from the industry than from the ocean, but we also are collecting whatever that we find, and we are putting the incentives over the table for the communities to gather as much as they can, so we can prevent this from continuing happening.
Absolutely.
And let me add up something there to complement what Francisco was saying, that this fishing gear, the ropes, the nets, are designed and manufactured by very clever people. Yeah, and they're very high-tech products for very high-tech uses. For some of them need to float, some need to sink, some need to be strong, some need to be flexible. So there are many different kinds of plastics involved and many different mixtures. Yeah, but the fishing industry, of course, are experts in fish farming, but they don't know nothing about plastics. That's not their responsibility. I think it's ours to help them realize why are they using such and such products in such and such manners, and help them re-engineer some of this gear so that they can be more recyclable or have more value in their afterlife. So that's another reverse engineering we're doing with them, because of course they don't know nothing about recycling. That's what we know, and that's our responsibility to teach them.
No, excellent points. And you kind of gave me an excellent segue into a couple of the other questions that we got that are a little bit more technical in nature. So a couple of questions are around Vistamax. Somebody asked a question, and I don't know if Ricardo or Pam, you want to tackle this. There's a question around the long-term effect of Vistamax on molecular weight, MFI, aging, etc. So I guess they're asking, the question is on the basis of, you know, what happens with repeated recycling. So I don't know if you want to weigh in on that question.
So it is a polymer, Vistamax, and it's propylene rich. And so it's just very similar to any other polyolefin. So there are, you know, any effect that you would have on a polypropylene or polyethylene by multiple manufacturing uses, that's the same that you would have with Vistamax.
Perfect. Let's see, and there's also kind of in that same vein, do we know, have any studies been done in terms of the crates and whether they can be recycled, or is it recommended, of course, I assume recommended reuse for as long as they stay intact?
As a model, of course, we always are aiming to reuse. Although we are a recycling company, we always are thinking of recycling as the last resource. We try to reuse the material, manufacture long-lasting products, make them last, and on the end, recycle. That's our philosophy.
Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, so we have a really nice comment that I just want to share with the panelists. So prevention is the key. Establishing a value for the material and future product to make is what makes this work. Thank you for approaching it that way. So nice comment there. And just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and type those in. So there's a question around, and you guys addressed this in your panel, in your presentation, that only a fraction of plastic waste is currently being recycled. And so, I think as part of when we try to tell these stories about using technology and what we have the ability to do, there are some folks out there that say, well, we'll always have a negative response and say that, okay, this is greenwashing and this is a fundamentally unsustainable industry. Have you gotten any of that kind of negative response, to these videos, or how do you couch that? I mean, I know at our association, we have a number of ways to kind of to tackle that, because I think this is a sustainable industry. But if anybody wants to chime in there, I'm happy to take comments.
There is always negativity, right? There's negativity in anything that you do, but we are at the beginning, right? Many of us are novices, and we're learning, and we will grow into a very sustainable new industry. And recycling in the next 20, 50 years will be very different than what it is today. And so will be the supply chain. So, people can say whatever they want, but we have to start somewhere, and we have begun.
Yeah, complementing what Pam said, of course, greenwashing is something that has been present, and it's very hard to us. We have to deal with that too. As I mentioned in the presentation, we need cultural changes to really solve these problems. It's not just a transaction or a business. And cultural changes mean convincing people, and things have not been done quite as good as I would have liked on the past. But today we know that our initiative is not going to solve every problem, and there are a lot of more complex problems. But the good thing of this is that we want to show that, first of all, it is possible. It is possible in economic, social, and environmental aspects. And then hopefully motivate other people more willingly, more intelligent, to start solving the next problem. Once we establish that this is not anymore a problem, the ropes in Patagonia, other guys will come and try to solve the next problem. And hopefully, solving problem after problem, we will be able to build a long-lasting solution. Definitely it's not easy, definitely, if you just evaluate the economical aspect, it's kind of hard. So one of our main challenges is building value out of other things, not only the value of the commodity of plastics. That is the message of my presentation. The history behind, the purpose, the relations you build between different actors that usually don't work, that has a value. But the challenge is, how can we pull that value down from intangible to something that really mobilizes people and gets you to pay the bills as well.
Yes, and also the fact, I've been hearing over the past years also this kind of comments about greenwashing, and of course I've seen it. I've seen a lot of greenwashing. Nevertheless, our approach is not only to tell which are the problems, but we want to approach them in a positive way, saying which are the solutions. And in that way, help other industries, not only companies, but whole industries that some of them produce a problem because they didn't know, because nobody knew at the time. Now we're learning, now we're proposing a solution in a positive way. So like building a business from waste. So I always try to value more the companies and the industries that want to try, at least. And those are the ones that we like to work with. Despite the problems they had in the past, they want to build a better future. And I think that's a positive approach.
Absolutely. No, really good points, especially like what you said about, we didn't know about some of these problems, and now we know. So now, now we can go and try to fix them. So I think that really stood out to me. I have a couple of, before we wrap up, just a couple more questions specifically on the ropes, and then I'll give you guys all a chance to kind of offer up closing comments. So the first question about the ropes is, you see all these, the piles of ropes that you guys are able to collect. Are any of those good enough to be reused? Or is there degradation that happens just with them being in the environment, and they all need to be recycled and reused in a different way?
There is gear that is able to be reused, and we encourage that. But by being reused, we also encourage not to lose the traceability, to know where, we encourage companies to know where their discarded gear is going, and then when it reaches its end of life, we will pick it up and process it. As I told you before, recycling has to be the last resource. What you find on the beaches, that is quite a different story, because it's very, well, very contaminated, very polluted, a little bit degraded, but very mixed, and with, well, sand, salt, mussels. You find everything over there. So that's another story.
No, that certainly makes sense. And the other question that came in about the rope specifically, do we know, I know you showcased kind of some examples of the ropes going into crates and things like that. Are there any examples yet of recycled material being used back in the production of new ropes themselves?
We've done some approaches. It represents another level of challenge, because ropes are filaments and are really thin. And although we do have a high standard recycling process, we haven't been able to consistently at this moment generate a material that can manufacture the same kind of ropes. And but this is very interesting, because there is this conception that the circular economy, it means that the guys that produce waste have to in some way consume it back. And our view is not really that, because you have industries that produce waste and another ones that consume material that are different. So what we're focusing on is to connect and balance that figure, So industries that are generating waste and they cannot consume it back, Well, we are linking them to other industries that are intensive in plastic consuming and that their products are, of course, able to consume this kind of plastic without sacrificing any performance or cost.
And the polymers all have different properties, whether it's polyethylene, polypropylene, or nylon. So sometimes, you know, actually putting it back into a fiber, like Francisco said, would be very hard, right? Because it is a mixed stream. And I know there's been a lot of questions about mixed streams. And the Association of Plastic Recyclers in the United States, they know that a lot of the PCR that is used today is a mixed stream. For instance, high density polyethylene PCR contains as much as 20% polypropylene in the allowance. Now, is that what you typically see? No, you may see just, you know, less than 7%. But this is why the recycling technology and applications are important, that you deal with real PCR, right? And these mixtures are exactly why compatibilizers are that are used. You know, olefins usually are non-polar, so you can use something like Vistamax. But if you do have like nylon that is more of a polar polymer, you would need to use a grafted polyolefin, and then you could mix them into, right? Nylons can be mixed in. And we know that there are ropes that are made out of nylon, not so much of what Atando Cabos has seen, but in other parts of the world. So just so everyone is aware, you know, those polymers, they are different.
And I think we've seen, Pam, you know, based on the questions kind of that have come in, I think we need a whole nother webinar to talk about mixed streams and compatibilizers and the technology and getting into kind of the an in-depth look at that, because you're right. The ideal stream of 100% X is not in reality, you know, what usually any of us are dealing with in the supply chain. So. Well, we're coming up right on, we just have a minute left, but I want to give any of you guys, I want to thank you for the time and energy you put into pulling these presentations together to walk through such a good example of how, you know, you combine supply chain collaboration, technology, you know, innovations, and then also you're telling such an amazing story that I think every single person can relate to, whether you're a technical person, whether you're not, whether you're in that supply chain, whether you're completely outside of it as a consumer. Somebody can listen to this story and take something really positive away from it. So thank you for that. And before we wrap up, just any final thoughts that anybody wants to share that you didn't get a chance to yet. Okay, excellent.
I would like to thank everybody. No, it's just to wrap up. I would like to thank you, the organization. This has been great, a great conversation, and we really appreciate all these instances that let us tell a story and tell our vision, because I really believe in sharing this, we can mobilize more institutions and people. So thank you very much, Ashley, for everything. Very interesting, this conversation.
Well, thank you guys. And I hope, I mean, it's our hope that this has served as a great case study for all of the attendees who've joined us today, and some inspiration. You know, you guys tackled a big challenge, and I think everybody can look at that. Just the single picture that comes to my mind is that one slide that showed all of the players. So I hope everybody can be inspired and take that, you know, back and keep pushing forward and keep that kind of as a reminder that we all have to do this together.
I just want to say one thing, and besides thanking everybody for attending, and of course you guys for organizing this, that the size of the challenge we have is only matched with the size of the opportunity. So, but the only way of tackling it is through collaboration, and that needs a cultural change from us. And this is the time for it's someone's job to do it. Someone has to do it. No, that's over. It's now I have to do something, and I have to do it today, me. So that's my final message.
No, thank you, Julio. I think that's perfectly on point and a great way to wrap up for the day. So a good message for everybody to take back to them as they continue with their work week. So thank you guys again so much. Great session today. For those of you who are still online with us, I would just invite you to visit refocussummit.org. We do have our next session available for the speakers have been announced, the content has been announced. So broadly speaking, the topic is on advanced or chemical recycling, which I know is a really hot topic right now. So I think we're going to have another widely attended session in October. So thank you all again. Have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you guys back here in about a month for our next episode. Thank you.
Yeah.